And we're back with some more base loving on oxygen not included. And today we've got a little bit of a special base to start with. I just loaded it up there a while ago, and I think you'll agree it's a little special. This one is from Mathias, and it's called All Done is the save name, and it's the Swanky Comet. Now, normally I start in a zoomed out view, but no, not for this one. Not for this one. I want to just let you soak in the specialness of this. Do you notice the way they've bricked in part of the map there? All of the map. The entire map is bricked in all the way down to the magma biome. That's insane. We can check the mineral overlay there. Where is it? And you'll see the different rock types that were used. There we've got your mafic. Over here we've got your igneous. Then we've got some more mafic. We've got sandstone here. Ran out of sandstone. Back to mafic. Over here we've got sedimentary. There's a lot of different rock types going on. What's that one? Granite. Yeah, granite. And then you check the temperature overlay, and it's just a rainbow of colors because, of course, all the rocks were different temperatures. But there, you can see the sandstone over here was a little bit cooler, and then you've got your granite over here is a little bit colder. This is absolutely insane. This is a 2,200 cycle old map. Try and imagine that. Let's start. Well, there's so many things to start with. Let's start with the iron volcano. So, iron volcano, very simple system. Metal iron pops out. It heats up the steam. The heat from the steam gets eaten by the turbine, and this is just where the transport rails go around, radiating the heat off the iron as it goes across it, and it just keeps rotating round and round and round until the temperature here gets to 130. And this is a sealed off area, so the only temperature that's going to affect this is the metal coming in. Once it cools below 130, it'll cool this area below 130, at which point that shutoff kicks in and dumps it across here. This is a cooled brick. As in, there's cool oil coming down here, cooling this area, getting it down to the minus degrees. So any iron that comes out of here, it's going to be about 0 degrees. And then it goes across this enormous shipping rail all the way up here over to the industrial area. Industrial area is not gigantic. It doesn't need to be because, as you notice, all the colonists aren't here anymore. All the colonists are in the rocket ships. I had to get the dismissed colony thing because it said the colony was dead because the last colonist was effectively missing. Oh no, they're all just loaded up into rockets. Over here we've got your standard issue petroleum boiler and what looks like an awful lot of volcanoes. If 2 of them aren't enough to power that, well, you've always got 3 more you can untap. That is incredible. But, yep, simple petroleum boiler setup, all done. We'll just go down here some more. Then you got yourself an oil well over here. And then we've got 2 volcanic power supplies going on. Now, these are, I want to say Tony Advanced Oni. Yeah, double checked. They're definitely Tony Advanced Oni volcanic power supplies. Magma pours down here, and the temperature shift plates diagonally suck the heat out of it, and then the debris or the metal, the magma debris or the igneous rock can't stay in here, so it gets forced in this side, and it just sort of drops down into this oil, which acts as a good conductor and sucks the heat across. This way you can just, power a perfectly good volcano without having to do any drilling or anything like that. Same on this side. We've got 2 of them. Pretty handy. Pretty sweet setup, to be honest. Down here we've got some water with a freshwater geyser, and yeah, that's pretty much the bottom map. Oh, another oil well, and this is bricked off. I think that's a cool steam vent. I checked it there a while ago. Then you've got your transport spine going straight up the middle. Another oil well. What do we got over here? Oh yes, another oil well. There's several oil wells all over this map. We'll come back to the slicksters in one moment. This here is the natural gas storage, and unlike my build, there's no bothering here to try and burn it off. It effectively just stays here because what it's being fed by is these oil wells. And even if the oil wells overpressurize with natural gas, it doesn't make a difference. So all of these tanks are just backup emergency reserve power in case anything goes wrong. That feeds up here into the power brick. Where is it? The power brick. Now, there's a few things about this power brick. One, those petroleum generators are just on. There's no automation hooked up to them. They effectively are just on all the time, and there's 10 kilos of petroleum flowing into them all the time. The petroleum boiler is just dumping petroleum into these 24/7, 365. There's only automation set up on the natural gas generators on the coal so that they kick in when needs be. Over here you've got your industrial brick, some of the cooling loops that go up here through the steam turbines, the usual, and a cooler as well. Over here you have your petroleum stockpile, and finally over here, this is where all the polluted water goes. All the polluted water from the petroleum generators goes in here, plus sewage water, that kind of stuff. You can see there's actually germs in it, and all of that's just dumped straight into a reed fiber farm to get rid of it. No attempt to save it. It's not really worthwhile, especially considering the amount of water that's on this map. Like, just look at those pipes. Anyway, no. We'll do a little bit more exploration first before we get to the pipes and the overlays. So this is the core base. Very, very, very compact. You notice there's about 22 bedrooms there, all stacked on top of it. Well, you got some diamond tiles here to allow the decor through, and it's pretty stacked with the decor, as you can tell. It's probably about 800 to 1,000 in most places, especially combined with all those space artifacts thrown on top as well. Food storage, very simple. That's where all the frost buns go. You'll notice if we put on the gas overlay, you'll see it's just a carbon dioxide pit. Dupes can hop up here, grab the food out of there, and go down and sit down at the tables and eat it. Very nice little system. Also, you've got your standard issue, toilet loop, all that, though we don't have any dupes to demonstrate it just yet. Also with a built-in reed fiber disposal if needs be. Steam vent cooler. Standard issue steam vent cooler. It just goes with your steam turbine, heat deletion, the usual. Pretty straightforward. Takes it out. There's a few of these scattered around the map. Then over here, as much water storage as you could possibly want. I want to see the dupe that goes down all the way to the bottom there to pump out of those pumps. Anyway, going further up, we'll get another cooling device here. This cooling device cools pretty much most of the center of the core of the map. There's a pipe that comes out of this and it goes down all the way down to here and then right back up again, cools down the battery box while going all the way up to the top of the map and goes out and cools the mining drills for the regular clearance and then comes all the way back down again. One thing to bear in mind, that's all supercoolant. That is just an enormous amount of supercoolant going through there. All just a normal steam turbine heat deletion device. Okay, along with some battery backup, which is nice. Now, over here, we've got yourself your hydrogen cooling. That hydrogen is just stored up in the hydrogen tanks. There's a whole bunch of hydrogen storage up here. That's all for the hydrogen fuel for the rocketry system. So that's got quite a backlog of it. Also, a whole ton of oxygen as well. That also goes up for the rocketry system. Natural gas-wise, yeah, there's probably an oil well over here. Yeah, lots of natural gas going on. And gold volcano heats up. Well, it's dormant at the moment, but normally when it erupts, that turns the water to steam. The steam gets cooled down by the steam turbine. And the steam turbine cools itself with its own output before dumping right back in here. It's just a quick, simple way of cooling gold. Gold is probably one of the easiest volcanoes to tame, and that's just a beautiful little miniature way of taking care of it with zero moving parts. It just works. It's one of my favorite designs. Over here you got crops. So you've got your water weed and you've got your sleet wheat. The water weed is actually heated by this tepidizer over here, and the sleet wheat is cooled down by the cooling device down below, giving you two completely different temperature zones right beside each other, because if you're farming, who cares, why not? It'll work just fine. That brings us up to, yes, the space area. Do you like space areas? I like this visco gel idea. By putting the hole at the bottom, dupes jump from here to the other side. So if, say, they come up here, they dump their suits, and then they have to get into the spacesuits here. If they jump from here to here and pass through the visco gel, it doesn't count as them getting wet. To get wet, they have to actually step in the bottommost tile. So hopping from side to side is just one of those quick ways or convenient ways of avoiding getting wet. It's just one of those nice little touches to make sure that your dupes don't have to stop and shake off their feet. So they can hop straight through here, hop into their jet suits, and go up to get into the spaceships. And here is your Swanky Pants Mobility Tunnel, I believe it was christened. The Swanky Pants Mobility Tunnel allows them to get in here and access all the rockets. Who's in here? Jeez, wow! There's a lot of people in sightseeing modules today. Yeah, I'm not sure you want to launch all of those. And over here you got your regolith removal, standard issue mining drills. What is it called? The sea miners. Sea mining drill setup removes all the regolith. There's no regolith removal, but who cares? The whole thing is completely cooled by these lines going through them, so it never needs any maintenance at all. Always one of my favorite things. Oh, and liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen production. Standard issue, normal size, nothing too excessive. Just, okay, there's a lot in there, but it's not excessive. I was beginning to think these things were getting out of control. And the shovels over here just for their meat supply. But just take in the size of that map. The amount of time and effort it must have taken to do all of that is ludicrous. And now, the scary bit. Let's have a quick look at the power overlay. Oh, God. Yep, I definitely hate you. I hate you so much. Good job, Mathias. That is... Oh, wait, no. There's a curve in the spine right here. Look. Power spine curve. I don't know how you can live with yourself. It's ruined. It's ruined now. Oh, my God. Everything is perfectly straight lines. Stop that. Just stop that. Too good, too good. Next up, let's check to see if you left any fossil behind. And mineral-wise, wait a minute. Is that... No way. Did you miss fossil? You actually missed some fossil down there. What have we got? Yeah, we do have like a ton of fossil down there. Some lead. You also missed some lead over here. Well, we don't care about the lead, but I can't believe you missed fossil. What the? Oh, natural gas, and there's a plant? Okay, fair enough. There's a jumping joya seed growing on some neutronium. Those things will grow anywhere, it seems. And as well as that, we need to look at a few other things. Where is the liquids overlay? I want to see what the plumbing looks like. Oh, dear Lord. How do you have it that neat? You are a monster. I feel like someone used a set square to put that together. Yeah, and the gas overlay. Yep. God damn you. Okay, Mathias, you win. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous and a joy to behold. Thanks for sending that in. That was wonderful. Next up, we have Septa with the Intergalactic crew. I'm going to try my best to explain this base, or to explore it as best I can, but I've been going around for about the last 30 minutes and I'm still a little confused about a few points, so I may not be perfectly accurate. We're just going to start with the bedrooms here. Bedrooms, this is where all the dupes hang out in their spare time. You've got lots of comfy beds, diamond window tiles, the usual, and then we've got a Draco farm over here for some reason, I'm not sure. This is where they get eat and bred up, and then all the excess ones get sent over here for shearing. Lots and lots of plastic going around, all hooked up to conveyor rails. There's a rather extensive conveyor rail network and a storage system that I don't want to get into just yet. But this is where they get bred. That's where they get sheared. Nice little system. We're going to skip right past this storage area and the medical system. They've got a whole medical system here. Also an automated hatch drowning room, which is always a nice one to have. They go down here and this will be your dining area. Also, the cooking area. For food storage in this place... Oh, wrong button. For food storage in this, they all get dumped across here. If you'll notice here, we've actually cut one going across right now, which is sort of useful. And they drop down over on this side. You've got, what, 2.5 million frostburn calories here in a chlorine room, so it's all perfectly safe. Perfectly hygienic. Fine. Oh, sorry, wrong button. Over here you have your water storage tank. I haven't even gotten around to trying to figure out how this is topped up. Let's have a quick explore though. So that comes over here from a cleaned water sieve, which is pulling its water from a polluted water vent over there. Where is the polluted water vent coming though? Honestly, the amount of piping and everything I've traced in this space so far. This is coming from over here where we've got ourselves a giant polluted water tank, which is fed by a cool slush geyser that is dumping down here. And this is another little trick. You've got carbon dioxide down here and oxygen up there. See those two gases? And all the rest of this is polluted water. So what happens is the water comes down here. It sort of pushes the oxygen out of the way technically and falls down past the carbon dioxide. But the carbon dioxide can't escape because there's a lump of water in the way right there. So all that happens is the liquid flows down here and it just keeps pressurizing and pressurizing and pressurizing. And it's just a quick way to do infinite storage around a vent. The reason for the manual airlocks is they can't break under pressure. You could also use airflow tiles if you wanted to. Very nice little system for storing a huge quantity of water if you want to. And that is what feeds this area. Yeah. Down here we've got something similar going on for water storage, though that one is fed by a slightly different location. I can't trace that. Over here we've got a gold volcano. This is a slightly different variant from the last one. This one, the gold just pumps out, and this cooling loop just goes around sucking the heat out of the area. And, yep, conveyor rails pick it up, truck it through here, it gets cooled down through that ice box, dumped out on this side. Very straightforward, very simple, takes care of the issue rather quickly. Now we get to probably the bit that took me a while to wrap my brain around. This is a massive storage array. Everything has a place, and a place for everything. Well, okay, maybe not everything has a place, but most things have a place. Let's see. There is a conveyor receptacle. Wait, conveyor loader. One moment. Yeah, here we are. So we got phosphorite in here. Down here you got your dirt. Down here you got your... Oh, there's nothing in that one. Down here you got your granite. All of these get stored across in this section. So let's just grab one of them here. This will do. This conveyor loader up... Oh, this conveyor loader here is set to collect dirt. It all gets dumped across here. Dirt gets picked up that side, thrown into conveyor loader. Conveyor loader loads it across here, where it gets sent out for, well, for collection. Anyone can use it if they want. So the dirt all gets stored there, and then there's one for all of them. Not only that, you'll notice in here it's a vacuum, and the conveyor loader is kept in a little blob of water, and the auto sweeper is kept in a blob of water, just for cooling purposes. Otherwise, they could overheat. And there is so many of them. Look, there's more over this side as well, and there's more over this side. That is the neatest arrangement of resources I've ever seen in the most compact format. It's like, yeah, let's just store everything in its own separate individual location. Sounds easy. Building it and implementing it, not so easy. Down here, okay, this is where things get a little bit more confusing. Now, I just assumed this was some sort of cooling loop for an industrial brick, and it kind of is. There's some, there's a couple of metal refineries down here, and they seem to be hooked up to the cooling there, but they're constantly flowing. It's a constantly flowing system as opposed to one that's on demand. So these oils just keep moving, and it's only if they're used that they'll spit out their own oil and probably stop whatever's flowing in the other side. Interesting method of doing it. Anyway, oh yeah, where were we? Oh, petroleum boiler down here. Standard issue counterflow, but the heat source is a thermo aquatuner made of niobium, so it heats up to 625. Whole thing's cranked up to 600 degrees in here. Beautiful little petroleum boiler. And you'll notice here the supercoolant is being cooled down by going through this metal brick and exchanging heat with the petroleum that's coming out, but only if the petroleum needs it. Otherwise, there's a little shut off here. So if the output starts getting too cold, it'll divert some petroleum down to here to make sure that the coolant out of this doesn't get too cold. If this coolant gets too cold, it'll stop generating heat. If it hits absolute zero, absolute Kelvin. Or Kelvin? 0 degrees Kelvin? No, whatever. Next up, copper volcano. Normally when I'm doing these sort of things, I try and build, around them or anything, but sometimes it's just going to get in the way of walkways you have. So this one, the cooling comes from above it, over here into the side, and there's just it's a massive cooling loop. This gets, the hot oil goes through here and bleeds off the heat, then goes up here, bleeds off even more heat and comes back down again. There's just so much. That's a unique design. Gotta love it, gotta love it. Here we have more infinite storage. This is where all the petroleum is being stored. It gets dumped in here, and there's a little blob of crude oil there. And since it can't stay inside the crude oil, it's pushed above it. And it's overpressurized there, well above what it should normally be. So you can cram in as much crude oil into that, or petroleum into that tank as you want. And that goes up here to feed the power brick. It's all on-demand power supply. There's no constant burning type thing going on in this design. So where's the automation overlay? Yeah, anytime the batteries go below certain levels, each different one is triggered. I haven't even began to look at some of the natural gas on this. The natural gas on this would even get me even more confused. Look at all that piping. Oh, this is ludicrous. Oh, yeah, we've got infinite gas storage going on over here for your chlorines, your hydrogen, your sour gas, and oh, that one's a vacuum. Never mind. I think that was probably oxygen. I think most of this has been decommissioned. We'll find out why that's been decommissioned in a bit. Down here you've got, of course, your Slickster farms to take care of all that lovely CO2 that's been building up, and it's heavily automated. I can't even begin to get into the automation on this one. Ooh, let's just have a quick glance. We'll sort of get into it. Yeah, look at that. Yep, I was like, no, just no, I can't. I cannot. Respect. That seems to be a completely automated system, but I am not touching it. It is a beautiful looking system though, isn't it? You can see all the doors up here. I think I saw a post on this on Reddit once, but yeah, that was a while ago. Or maybe it was the Clay Forums. Never mind, but an automated system for taking care of those. And then, of course, you've got your shovels over here looking all happy and bouncing around the place. Where were we? That's all of that done. Let's scroll up and start going into the top half of the base. That was the bottom chunk of the base. Over here you got your ways up. We got a gold volcano over here. Same dealio as before, just a regular cooling solution. Wow, a lot of volcanoes on this map. Hydrogen burn-off. This is the one. This is the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen supply combined with... Well, here's a nice little trick for you, if you've never seen this one before. Where is it? Let's grab up the liquid overlays. Yeah, you'll notice here, this is an electrolyzer, and it's surrounded by 3 different types of liquids. We got polluted water on one side, we got salt water on the other, and we got water up in this top left, well, across the top. And what this does is it sort of overpressurizes, or stops the electrolyzer from overpressurizing. So as you see, never stops. It just keeps going and going and going. It is the Energizer Bunny of electrolyzers. So up here, you'll notice the gas pressure is 9,700 kilos of oxygen. Where's the hydrogen going? Well, it's kicked out to the sides and forced down here. And the water doesn't let it go up the top. So you're able to effectively keep these electrolyzers running just 24/7 flat out if you want to, and storing up all the excess products in here where, you've got plenty of pressure for them. Just a very simple, a brutally efficient way of extracting as much resources as possible. And there's a polluted water vent that has using the same gas trick as before, except this time with hydrogen and oxygen. You don't have to. You can use whatever 2 gases, just as long as one floats above the other. We'll just have a quick glance at that again. That's a very handy way of just storing vast quantities of liquid. Now here comes interesting little quirks on this. This is the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen production facility, and it's tiny. Look at the size of that. I mean, that is incredibly tiny and efficient. Yeah, what goes on here is very simple. Two aqua tuners, one cools the one on the right, one cools the one on the left. Then we've got them fed by lots and lots of hydrogen and oxygen because this thing churns out an enormous amount of both. But all of them are powered by these little tiny gas pumps, these mini liquid pumps. The reason being, they can't crack in the pipes. They're only pushing around a kilo per second. So with 1 kilo in the pipes, you can't get phase change. So even if they went below went above their gasification point, the point where they turn back into gas, they won't crack the pipes. They'll wait until they exit the pipes before they phase change. So all of these pipes here, just made of igneous rock. Downside, of course, is you can only send them through 1 kilo at a time. It's a little bit slower to load up your rockets, but upside, you can run the pipes as long as you want. You don't have to wait for insulation. You don't have to use lots of ceramic. You can just, keep running the pipes as long as you want. Go back and forth all the time. So this whole system here is just a way of making a huge amount of hydrogen and oxygen for as long as you want. It's perfect. Love that little system. Oh, little. It is a little bit chunky, all right. And up the top, we've got... this one is a different set of mining drills to the normal sea miners. So you get your mining drills across the bottom, and you notice they're kind of just perfectly configured. So this one here can take everything on the left, and they can... See? So they all take whatever's to the left of them. So whatever's to the left, they mine up. And all of them are sitting on a layer of liquid. There's just a thin layer of liquid here, about 24 kilos or so, all the way along the bottom to keep them cool. Well, to give temperature transfer. And then there's a cooling loop going up and down to... Where is it? Oh. The cooling loops that you have run, Septa, from across the map are amazing. There's like... They're running from huge distances away. Normally people are like, oh, I'll just build something local. Nope. We're going to run it from wherever we've got it built already. Then you've got, of course, your rocket selection over here. And lots of automation. People always ask me to try and do something to let the dupes out of their rockets when they land. I never really got around to doing that right. This one actually does it. So when the rockets come back, let's see if one's coming back soon. Unfortunately, there's no rockets coming back for another 8 or 9 cycles, so we're not going to see it in action. But rockets land, then these gantries will extend automatically when the people land, so that the dupes can get out and stretch their legs. Now, let's go through some of the fun stuff. I'm going to leave the power grid to last, because the power grid on this is unique. Very, very unique. Then first up, let's go with plumbing overlay. As you can see, absolutely not too crazy. There is some insanity in places like up there, and they're absolute blobs of piping. But oh, sorry. Yeah, sometimes when you take off the Alt S, it goes a little bit crazy if you try and move the camera around. Let's maybe calm that down a bit. Next up, we're going to do the gas piping. Let's see. Slow down. Gas piping. I'm going to slow the game a bit so it doesn't choke so much. That's the gas piping on the map. Doesn't look too crazy either. That's actually pretty neat, except for those. That's where the natural gas generators are down there. And then finally, oh wait, no, we'll do minerals first. I'm pretty sure you left a lot of minerals lying around the place. Yeah, there is so much fossil down there that could be harvested. I mean, okay, fair enough. Your map is very well exploited, but you can always use more steel, always. But now for the power one. The power one is probably something you've never seen before. You'll notice there's no big power spine. There's always a big power spine, something to trace, but there's none. Well, let's zoom in a bit more. You'll notice still no big power spine. What is going on here? Well, you might have seen a post a long, long time ago where someone put forward this method for using normal wire as a main power spine with a little bit of sneaky automation to get things working. So this entire power spine is run on just regular wire. Let's just follow one of these regular wires up to an area where it's been used. Actually, we'll try, say, here. Let's start up the game. Right, is this one active? Actually, no, that's a terrible example, this one. 1 second while I find a better example. All right, we found the perfect example for this power grid. There's the little wire coming in here from the power spine that I suppose we're going to call it. This hooks in here, and you'll see there's some shutoffs. There's a power shutoff here and here, and then 2 on the outside edge. And then also a little bit of automation going on. What's going to happen is this side over here is currently, was it charging? Wait, is it charging or discharging? That side is currently discharging, and this side is currently charging. You see this wire is hooked up along here. It connects up in there, and since that shutoff is engaged, the power can travel across. So these batteries are charging. However, this power shutoff is turned off, so it can only charge these 3 batteries. The power can't get any further than that. And batteries can charge infinitely fast. You don't have to, it doesn't technically count as load, so you can really charge up batteries very quickly this way. Now, the other side is cut off. So you'll see that power shutoff is up and this one is engaged. So this is feeding, well, all of this stuff up here, but entirely off battery power. So if we start this up, you'll see that the power is going down there. And once it hits the cutoff, or hits the lowest setting, which is, where is it? Yeah, about 80% on the low threshold. Wow, that's actually a pretty high setting in general. Then this gets connected back into the grid to draw power and gets disconnected from the power drainers up here. So this is now becoming the power supply for the top half of the base. And if we turn it on again, you see it's switching back and forth. So now it's drawing from this side. Then once it shows too much power from there, that cuts off, and now it's drawing from the other side. And in the meantime, this is fully charged up. The reason it can charge up so quickly is there's no limit to how fast the batteries can absorb power. Well, I think there may be a limit, but they can draw an enormous amount of power down very quickly, and it doesn't count as load on the wire. So if we check this wire, you'll see power consumed 0, potential power consumed 120. There's something on the network somewhere that's showing 120 power. That's actually kind of funny. Never mind. Considering the size of this grid, and they are everywhere. This is one of the larger ones because this is powering the entire liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen facility. And it's just 3 batteries at a time switching back and forth. There's several of these systems built around the map. You see there's another one up here. This is another large one that's also feeding some section. I'm not even going to try and trace that. But they're literally spread all the way across. Anytime there's a power set up anywhere. Here's another one here, another small little one. That one's most likely powering the atmosphere docks over there. Then, there's another one over there. Every time they want to run a power somewhere, they have to install one of these little automated systems. There is crap tons of them spread all around the map. This requires a certain amount of, well, discipline to keep up with this. And most of us are kind of lazy. We throw down a giant power spine and we're done. But this is just a very cheap way of getting power all across the base. So long as you're willing to, well, blueprint this and use it an awful lot. Look at that. Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Yeah, thanks again for sending in this base Septa, and especially for your power grid. That must have taken a really, really long time. Oh, and apologies in the mail. I know you sent me a later mail that's the day after this with a slightly more refined base, but I couldn't open the attachment for some reason. It kept locking me out. I don't know why. Next up, we got Omeganesis on Tamir. This map is 2,368 cycles old. Let's have a look at the main thing going on here is that very crafty looking duplicate sitting right there in the middle. It's always nice when people just take the time out to go, you know what, let's just throw some art in here. Efficiency be damned. I know that sounds like heretics, like a heretical talk coming from me, but sometimes it's nice to see that. First off, we've got a petroleum boiler right here, smack bang in the middle of the map, powered by 2 volcanoes leading down here. Of course, it's got metal tiles, airflow tiles made of steel going around it. Steel is not going to be a problem for this base. We'll cover that in a bit. But yeah, that goes down here. It feeds into a nice petroleum boiler with 2 volcanoes. You never really have to worry about the size. A small petroleum boiler like this will cover you for, well, an eternity. Where is it? Ah, yes, over here you get your petroleum burn-off. But yeah, it's just in a hot room. There's an entire hot room in here. This whole place is turned to steam. You'll notice, where is it? We'll get the liquid overlay. The liquid doesn't last. The moment the polluted water comes out of these, it instantly evaporates because of the heat in the room. And the thermo aqua tuner here is providing cooling for the steam turbines and, well, a steam vent down here as well. And that heat is actually just dumped extra into the room. No need for temperature shift plates, no nothing. This is just small, simple, efficient, does the job perfectly well. I like it. Now, after that, where is it? Oh, yeah, there's a giant amount of storage going on down here. That is beautiful. But this is the glorious bit. It is the poke shells. Look at all of the poke shells. These have been bred. They are glum and overcrowded, and yes, they are going to die. But when they do, they will drop behind an awful nice big moat that can be ground up for lime. There's a little bit of a ditch going on at the moment. This one, when this door closed, it forced this poke shell in here. They should have actually just ended up dropping down here. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They'll die in 100 cycles or so and this will get back to working. That's why these extra poke shells are in here. Normally the poke shells get chopped off in there. But what is going on here? Well, best I can figure. I really have to go through and design one of these myself. The poke shells get groomed in here. They drop eggs. The eggs get auto-pulped into these incubator. The incubated eggs, once they're hatched, get dumped in here. And once they're in there, this happens. Well, wait a minute. This happens. They're carried in here because they are poke shell spawns. See these things here? They're the poke shell spawns. So they get dumped in here. And once they get up to 5, that's fine. But once they hatch into poke shells, once they turn 5 years of age, they turn into adults, which are poke shells. At which point, they are going to get affected by this critter drop-off, which says auto-wrangle the surplus. And once the surplus is auto-wrangled, they'll get carted off to their next stage. Auto-wrangling complete. And then they should get dumped across probably over there, though I think there's going to be a little bit of a problem at the moment considering the blockage caused by that poke shell. But nice little automated system for generating lots and lots and lots of lime. There should be... Oh, Where did they go? Oh, they dropped it over there. That's not full yet. They can go up to 20. Once that hits 20, it's going to be unproblematic. But anytime these stables, these are the active breeding stables, need more poke shells, they get dumped in from this side. These ones are being fed on polluted dirt, so these ones have to be fed, which means you've got to run these ethanol distilleries. So it's the ethanol distilleries are producing ethanol, which is actually immediately burnt off. They're not even trying to keep the ethanol from this. All the ethanol is dumped across here, goes straight into a petroleum boiler, and... Yeah, wait, actually, is it all burnt off? No, there's some automation in place on that one. However, that will produce all the polluted dirt they need to keep feeding the poke shells. This is about the only reason I can think of to get into ethanol for me, running a poke shell farm like this. That much lime? Ooh, I like the thought of having so much steel. Think about the amount of steel you can produce with all of that lime. And here is the wild tree farm that's feeding all of the lumber into this that allows us to produce that much steel. Only 6.5 tons of steel are currently available. Well, that's most likely because, yeah, a lot of it's got implemented in this base. Over here, we've got polluted water converted into polluted oxygen, which then gets filtered through here to get fed into the base. Just a nice little way to turn polluted water into something useful if you've got way too much of it. And this base has way too much polluted water. For toilet showers and sinks, there's one for everyone, because why not? And let's check the scheduling. You notice people are offset, but there's quite a few on each shift. It's, well, was it 4, 8, 10 people per shift? Well, 10 people on one of the shifts anyway. So all of the bathrooms, sinks, toilet showers, all of that are up here. And everything is nice, neat, and organized. You got to admit, that's a very structured little base we've got going on there. And, of course, your medical facilities up here. And some massage tables. Just two, because we don't want to spoil them. That leads into some farming over here. The base seems to be subsisting entirely off barbecue and cooked fish. There's a whole bunch of pacu, or wild pacu in there. And there's a little box here full of shovels. And by full, I mean... There's 42 wild shovels in there. Definitely plenty of meat to keep the colony going. Also some mealwood to keep things topped up. You can see there's pickled meal going on. The whole thing's running off an electric grill. The gas range isn't even hooked up. Smart plan. It's so easy to work with the electric grill. It kind of devalues the gas range. Down the bottom of the map, we've got our industrial sector. Now, we've already covered the little ethanol distillery down there, but we've also got this over here, which is a bit interesting. This is where all the metal refinement goes on, and the metal refinement is never a straightforward process, it seems, in these days. The petroleum comes out here and gets sent across. This is the output pipe, and it goes through this room, and this entire room is a vacuum. You notice this whole area is a vacuum to prevent heat transfer. So what? Oh, you know what? A batch just finished. Let's see. So the batch comes out across here. It gets dumped into the tank so the temperature is aggregated, just to prevent any overheating and, even things out. Then it gets sent right back in because it's still too cold. But if it's not too cold, it gets sent all the way across here, and it goes up around here, and where it actually chills down this, or where it transfers heat into this. That dumps its temperature in there. Steam turbines destroy it. Done and dusted. A little bit of a cooling loop going on here to help cool down that tile. I think that's for some cooling up here. There's a lot of places where people like to dump cooling into bricks and then use that to dump into other areas. It's pretty handy. Oh, and down in the oil biome, not too much craziness going on. There is a few oil wells and stuff, but most of the oil biome has not been exploited. Though I think that's probably why they haven't got the sedimentary rock. They don't need, with that sheer quantity of poke shells, they don't need the sedimentary or the fossil to get lime. This here is another little interesting design. We've got our rocket here, but it throws heat into this room, and then that heat is soaked up by this petroleum. This petroleum comes in here, splits up, and soaks heat of the surrounding atmosphere, and dumps that heat right into the steam room. So it's just running a steam turbine by using liquid to suck the heat out of the area. At the same time, let's have a quick look at the temperature over here. You know, it's boiling hot, 25 degrees nice and balmy. Boiling hot, 25 degrees nice and balmy. And the only difference between the two is just there's carbon dioxide layer, which is very handy. It doesn't transfer heat very well. And then down here, there's a bit of a cooling loop going on. So there's a cooling loop coming from down here, and it took me the longest time to figure out where this cooling loop was coming from. This cooling loop goes up here, it cools this steam turbine, cools some other areas around here, and it's going up and passing through this block. So that's where the cooling's going. But then I couldn't figure out where's this block getting cooling. The petroleum is coming to 23, leaves at 20, but where's the aquatuner? Where's the cooling? What is going on here? After chasing this up here, I realized, no, wait, that's actually just cooling a mining drill. This stuff just seems to be going around in a circle. I realized there was some automation built in here. Just about here, you can ignore the rocket stuff for the time being. And what happens is, if the temperature in here gets too warm, there's this stuff gets siphoned off here. The Salt water gets siphoned off here, goes all the way down here, goes siphoned into this area where it runs through an aqua tuner, cooling it down and then dumping it back onto the system. That is, yeah, that took me a while to figure out. You totally burnt my brain with that one. Omeganesis? Omeganesis? I know I'm butchering that pronunciation. At the same time, most of this area is kept in pretty much a vacuum so that the temperature transfer happens inside the metal tiles. This is a petroleum and solid oxidizer tank that's generating all that heat for power. But then over here you have your liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen setup. Over here, giant oxygen hydrogen room with nicely split up oxygen and hydrogen gases. That's quite simple to, well, that's one of those ones that's really quite simple to build because once you get the hydrogen up the top, there's just no way to displace that. However, all of that gets fed through here. Some of this oxygen is sent right back down to the base. There's even a little cooling block here to, well, hydrogen comes in at, or the oxygen comes in at 50, leaves it a nice balmy 20, goes down to the rest of the base. Some of it is dumped up here though. I think that's just excess. I'm not quite sure why it's being dumped into space, but it might just be for cooling on the edges of this. Over here, liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen production. Fairly straightforward system, same as the usual. You just got your supercoolant rotating through here, but the entire walls are made of metal tiles. Instead of bothering just putting, you know, radiant piping through everything, you also make the tiles around the outside because you're in space. You don't have to care about that exchanging temperature or anything around it. So yeah, just a simple way to make a liquid tank, a tiny liquid tank of hydrogen and liquid oxygen. That's nice, simple, efficient. I might steal some of those ideas. I'm liking the idea behind that. Barring that, that's most of the map has been cored out, as you'll notice, and a lot of storage has gone in. I can't remember the last time I've seen this many storage containers on a map. It's you definitely got me beat for most storage containers on a single map. Anyway, I think we'll cut that out here. Oh, damn it. We'll cut that out here, but first, let's have a check out of some of the overlays. Now, this will be as much a surprise for you as it is for me. Oh yeah, power grid. Yes, that is beautiful. That's the way it should be. No rhyme or reason, spread around everywhere. Yep. Oh, that's way too neat up there. You gotta dirty that up a little bit. But yes, I don't feel bad about that grid. Just right. Okay, wow. Just give us 1 second here. So this is the toiletry system. I've never seen a top-down approach to it before. So it's one liquid pipe goes up, one liquid pipe comes back with the waste. So one goes up with the water, one comes back with the waste. All feeds down here into just a germ-killing room, chlorine germ-killing room with some mechanized airlock beneath it. For example, the water in there will quickly have all the germs dying out, and then these doors just cycle to let the water through when needs be. Very nice. Yeah, that was plumbing. Oh, let's check the mineral overlay, but I can't even be mad about you for leaving all that fossil behind. There is so much fossil down there. It does pain me a little bit. I think how much steel is just sitting there in fossil form. Well, once you turn it into lime, of course. And gas piping, yeah, not a huge amount of gas piping. Most of the gas piping is up there. I think most of the oxygen production is up there as well. Very nice base. Thanks again to Omeganesis for that. Omeganesis. Now I get it. Omeganesis for that base. Septa for their base, and for Mathias for their base as well. I'll put their names in the description as well if you want to look them up. And if I can't, they didn't tell me I could post up their maps, so I can't really link to their maps, unfortunately. If if any of you three are around and you want me to post up the maps, just let me know and I'll stick them in the description for people to download. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this base, Lovin, and good luck.